Hey there, it's Wes Towers here from Australia. My company is Uplift 360, and I've just had a fantastic conversation with Kim. You're always jumping on a podcast, you're not quite sure where the conversation might take us, but we went to some really interesting spaces about personal growth and development and lessons learned the hard way and a whole bunch of things. I hope you find value in it, so please do jump on and listen to the podcast.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. You are going to be so happy you are here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. I get to do a lot of fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do is to meet people. And I get to meet some of the coolest people ever. And today, Wes is on my show. He is got up so early this morning because Australia is the other side of the world from where I am right now. And to be with us, he got up so early to be with us, and I appreciate that so much. But he's insightful. He's done a lot of cool things in life. He's got a lot to tell us, a lot to share. You're gonna love it. And so I'm so excited. Wes, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, it's a real privilege to be here with you today. Obviously, I've listened to a number of your podcasts, but to speak in person is fantastic. So thanks so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you. So, Wes, I would like for people to start out by getting to know you. So, I'd like you to tell us about 8-year-old Wes.
Yeah, well, that could go in all sorts of different angles. I mean, no one's any one thing. I think that was a quote from Martin Short, the actor, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, I mean, I'm a business person, so I run a business, Uplift 360. So we're a digital agency here in Australia, helping the trades and construction niche mostly, but been doing that a long time. So that's work and business and so on. But other than that, I'm a father. So I've got three kids, and my eldest is working with me now, which is fantastic. So he's nearly 20. He'll be 20 in around a month's time. Um, and you kind of, as a parent, you think you're going to lose your children eventually as they move out and go on to do other things, but it's been a real blessing to have him work with me just one day a week. So we get to have lunch together and we get to, connect and so on. So I've got that secret motivation to keep connected with him, but obviously it's great to mentor him on his path. He has aspirations to run his own business eventually one day, a creative business. So there's that mentorship thing that I can provide him. So yeah, really happy, proud dad. The other kids, the second kid, he finished high school just last year, so moving into his future and career paths and everything. So that's exciting. And then my youngest, she's 13. So she's a really creative kid, and the world, who knows where she goes in her life. But yeah, when I think about who I am, it's largely around being a father as well. So yeah, and in a newish relationship, having been divorced around 3 4 years. Oh, no, separated about 4 years ago, and then divorced and so on from there. So that's all exciting as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so tell me about your childhood a little bit. Like, did you grow up in an entrepreneurial home and always wanted to have your own business or?
Um, Yeah, it's that's really an interesting thing too. So there was different seasons in life. Certainly, there was times when there was lack, not really enough income. I remember the cupboards being quite empty toward the end of the pay cycle, but I kind of knew that that was just a regular cycle that there wasn't much food, but there was coming the next day. So it was that aspect, but also I had that. Um, a business understanding because my grandparents they ran bakeries, so they were retired by the time I knew them. But I heard of the stories of their successes starting up bakeries and selling them and so on, and kind of an interesting dynamic because he was half Chinese, my grandfather, and my grandmother. I called them Nanny and Poppy. She was part Aboriginal, but that Aboriginality wasn't spoken of. So I only found out about that fairly recently. it was a different time back then with the mixed cultures and so on. But yeah, and the way in which people treated other cultures back then. And the curious thing too, they did all these businesses, but she was really the motivating force behind the businesses. But back then, women didn't really have opportunity to run businesses themselves. So he was kind of the front. My poppy was kind of the front and the person people recognize as running the business, but really behind the scenes, she was the driving force. So I was really excited to hear about all those stories. So I had these aspirations of one day maybe starting businesses, just like my grandparents did, and my uncle did. He was an architect and ran his own business. So I had these aspirations to do that sort of thing. So I had that polar sort of extreme opposites of really wonderful financial success and times where it wasn't. So I guess it's benefiting growing up like that. Life's a roller coaster ride, so you need to be able to deal with all these different aspects of life. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's so interesting. It's always so great. Like that's something I always prayed for my kids is I wanted adults in their life that could be an example, that they could look
yeah,
up to because it's different when you're the parent, right? Like then you're just dad and maybe
yeah,
there's this respect or you're just mom, but and there might be this
yeah,
deeper respect, this deeper something, admiration, whatever it is, but they kind of try to keep it hidden maybe a little because you're mom or dad, but they
yeah,
can look at other adults and go, "Oh wow," and the things that they say just come across differently, come across a different way. So it's great to
yeah,
have that in your life,
yeah.
those adults.
It, absolutely. You sort of go through that cycle, don't you? I just remember as a child, you think your parents don't know anything for a while there as a teenager, and then you grow through and you realize they knew a bunch of stuff and you sort of experience the same things. The other
Yeah.
interesting aspect of all of that, Dad grew up in an orphanage as well, so um, that's a different set of dynamics in terms of family. So his first family experience, proper family experience, was being the father, and that's kind of a challenge. Um, and maybe it's a traditional thought, but I still feel that a father needs to be somewhat of a leader in the family home. And when I say leadership, that means different things to different people, but it's certainly not a dictatorship type leadership, but a inclusive leadership style that I think is what I'm referring to. So having to learn that on the fly, having never seen any proper example of it, he did incredibly well with the
Mm.
starting point where he started. So, looking back on that now, I realize what a success he was. He's now passed, but these things you look back upon with a bit more maturity and understanding. You don't see that when you're a young person.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. When you hear the stories and what your parents have gone through or grandparents have gone through, and you're like, holy cow,
Yeah,
it's not always their generation that really benefits from their uh, fortitude, from the things that they accomplish. It can be the next generation that really reaps the benefit from that. And so
yeah,
you see that all the time for years with people coming from different countries coming to the US and making the way. Well, the first generation of people coming might be working at jobs just because they have to eat, they've got to feed the
yeah,
family. But the values and everything that they instill in their kids, then it's the next generation that really benefits from it. And it sounds like that's your case.
yeah. I think that's the generational thing. That's definitely true. There's so many truths in that. So, and I've always tried to keep that front of mind because whatever I do now creates a trickle-on effect for the generations to come and even the children that I'll never know, the children of the children sort of thing. So if I can get some things right now, hopefully that's beneficial. And certainly I've made a lot of mistakes along the path that I would have corrected if I could. But you can't reverse these things now. But all we can do is work towards a better now and a better future.
Right, absolutely. Well, and the mistakes aren't always bad because I think it's also good for your kids to understand that you're human. And
Yeah,
otherwise, the pressure that they can put on themselves is too great to try to
yeah,
live up to you, right? So,
yeah,
and those are the
yeah.
things we
That's so
learn
true.
from, right? Are the mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's, I
So
mean, yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, being a dad is a pretty big deal to you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's front of mind a little bit because, as I just touched on a little bit earlier, went through the separation and divorce process, and that was really horrendous. As it usually is for people, it's a really difficult time, and so a lot of things get said that may or may not be true as well. And so to I suppose I always had the children in front of mind. So what information they needed to know and didn't need to know was important. So to protect them, as sometimes there's a when there's a sense that you want vindication if you feel as though you've been wronged against, but that's not really helpful necessarily to the other people around you, and certainly in my instance for the children's sake. So it felt like I took a bullet at times, but that was for the long-term betterment of the kids and their happiness, and because it's really difficult for children going through that stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is. It's so hard. I mean, it's hard enough on you. It's really hard. And for kids it is really difficult even if they seem immune. And I've known couples that have really done a good job of it. As far as with the kids that
Yeah.
don't speak ill of each other and support each other and uh are kind in that way. And so the kids don't ever hear side or take sides or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's others that are the opposite of that and
Yeah.
do speak poorly, and it's like, man, that doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, that's right. And so a really cool thing was to sort of stay connected with the school, and it's a private Christian school. So just a few of the people there that I had reasonable connection with could keep tabs on how the kids were going, because how they present in the household and home, it might be different to what's being shown at school. So different perspective. So it was really cool to have a couple of people in the school that I knew pretty well to keep an eye on them and make sure things were going okay. So yeah,
Uh,
transitioned pretty well, I think, through
yeah,
that time.
that's nice. That's nice. Well, so to Wes, it's the hardest things that we go through in life, the challenges that we have that shape us, right? And that we learn from
Yeah.
and have the biggest amount of growth. And so, would you say, was that the toughest thing you've been through, or what would have been things that have brought you the biggest amount of growth?
Yeah, definitely the biggest, as you say, the biggest growth points are the biggest pain points at the time. So certainly it was a really good growing season at that time. I mean, at my worst, I was, as I said, run a business. Business went fine because, I mean, it was built pretty solidly, and so it kept ticking over reasonably well. So I was able to function and so on and do the work. But yeah, just the growth out of that. So for me personally, I was crying under the desk like a baby at my worst point. It was fairly new. So it was kind of an abrupt, whilst the marriage wasn't great for quite a while, it came as a shock when I found out something in the relationship that I felt was not redeemable. And so I was in the family home one day, and the next day I was sleeping under the desk at the office.
Mm,
Um, and so, the children had no awareness of why that was. And that, as I said, that's unhelpful for them to know what had happened. But I'd discovered something, and um, so it was a real shock to the system, and it was a real time to dig deep and think about who I was and what was the future, and how do I transition. At that time, with the separation piece, you've got to. It's probably similar in all around the world, but you need to put value on everything you've got, so the asset pool, and so business um, needed to be valued as well. And that was another wake up call too, because the valuer said he gave a pretty low value simply because of the rise of AI and the potential risks that might destroy my business. So I had my marriage dissolved and broken down, and then I hear my business isn't as solid as what I thought it was. So all these things coming at me at once, and then so I had to really dig deep and reconsider lots of things. Had to consider my health as a starting point because my health had got pretty poor. During the marriage, I put on a whole lot of weight. So putting in healthy steps to rebuild and refocus and even to build the business. I mean, the business is now flourishing, and that wasn't the goal. The goal was just to live a happier, more fulfilled life and to make sure everything was in good shape with the kids and so on. So, but as a consequence of all that, I was a bit healthier me, and so I was better. I was showing up better at work, and was able to make some improvements based on what the valuer had said. So yeah, a really big growth phase of life. So it was probably 4 years ago now where um, the valuation happened. So yeah, yeah, growth is always it's sort of that dying. Something dies. It's that concept of the seed needing to die before it grow. It's like a seed falls to the ground and then it needs to grow. So it's that transformation that's painful, but you go through these seasons and get through the other side.
Yeah, right, right, right. Well, and you don't want to go through those things. Like if those were avoidable, that would be really nice. But and it does
Yeah,
take getting on the other side of it to go, oh yeah, well, it was good. Not good that you had to go through it, but good can come
yeah,
out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And I mean, we all go through tough seasons that we don't want to, but you make the most of the learnings from those times, I think. That's
Hmm.
maturity and growth and figuring out what I did wrong as well, all the things I probably did wrong, and just being a better person, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I think it can be difficult too when you're an entrepreneur. That can add stress to a marriage because you're out there hustling, right? Like if you're starting a business, you're not working 12 hours a week. You are working. And if you're working a lot and trying to get things going, like that can put stress on a relationship. And if your spouse doesn't understand entrepreneurship, that can really be hard because I don't know. My dad remarried. My mom died years ago. My dad remarried, and the woman that he married, their family, none of them were entrepreneurs. They were all 9 to 5, punch a clock. When they're done with work, they're done with work, right? They go
Yeah.
home. So the first year we tried to intermingle families. When my dad got married, we were all in our 20s. She had 4 kids, and I've got 2 brothers. And so we had Christmas together. And I thought it went well, whatever. We'll make this work and it'll be good and we'll get our families together. And afterwards, a couple days after, I said, and my whole family's entrepreneurs, my brothers, my dad. And so I said to my dad, well, that was nice, like whatever. And he said, yeah, we're not going to be doing that again. And I'm like, what? What? Why not? And he said, we were apparently a little too intense for them. And I went, what? But for us, when you're an entrepreneur and work doesn't stop at 5 o'clock, there's no stop. There's no
Yeah.
day that you go home from work and go, oh, I got everything done, right? There's always more to do.
Yeah.
There's always something you can do. But when you're punching a clock and you have the luxury of at 5 o'clock, your work is done, you don't have to talk about it anymore. It's
Yeah.
just such a different life that our worlds did not commingle. Oh well,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah. I
didn't
can
quite work
understand.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's hard enough to people coming together. But when you're bringing whole families together, that must be really, really challenging. Every family runs slightly differently and it has different values and I mean, on surface level, they might seem so similar, but it's not till you really get inside a household or a family that you really understand the differences. That must have been incredibly difficult. I can understand. And you're right. Being an entrepreneur, running your own business, you don't switch off ever. Um, and so, things happen and sometimes you have to deal with it late at night, because that's what happens sometimes. But
Mhm.
that yeah, it's certainly it can be stressful.
Yeah, well, and I can imagine going through both at the same time. So here you're losing your marriage, and also you get this evaluation of your company that you think is going to be much higher. Might have helped out in the divorce that it wasn't a higher
Yeah, I know that was a
evaluation. That could
yeah, that
be.
was a blessing in disguise for sure.
Yeah, but what I
Yeah.
admire about you is that you didn't just spit on the evaluation and go, this they're all wrong and this is just bad, but you took what they had to say and you made a big shift in your business.
Yeah, so because the threat was AI, so I mean all the everything was aligned to get a good value done, all the things that they typically look for, because I understood those. I'd always built with that in mind to if you I've always been of the belief to build a business that has value that's one day you can exit from it. Even if you don't, that at least if you do that, you're sort of building in a way in which is sustainable for the long term. So I had everything kind of aligned, but when AI, it was kind of, as you can imagine, 4 years ago when it was done, it was just when people were starting to figure out, hey, this might displace a whole lot of work. And so, um, being in the digital running a digital agency, that was kind of recognized as something particularly vulnerable to AI. So it was a good wake up call because it forced me to sit down and think about, okay, what does AI mean to my industry and business, and what do I need to change? And so I did quite a lot of work on changing our standard operating procedures, how we do stuff, to make sure it's aligned to the new tools and technology that are now available. So streamlined a whole bunch of things. So projects, while the outcome is still the same, getting to that outcome is so much better now. And I probably wouldn't have tweaked it at all if I hadn't have had that wake up call. So that's a big benefit and blessing. But also that extra time I've been able to reinvest in the things that I love, which is human connection and relationships and talking to people. And that's the stuff I love. And if I focus on what I love, it seems that business flourishes as well. I think there's a real desire with all the tools and like the AI and artificial intelligence. It is artificial. So there's the desire to create human connections, I think, like never before. So that's what I enjoy doing, and that's what I've doubled down on with the extra time that I have with the tools that have enabled that. So it's kind of, in a weird way, AI has made me more be human, made me become more human,
Mm.
if that's a thing. So it's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
it is very interesting. And I love that you're talking about that because uh, the pandemic, of course, hurt community and togetherness a lot.
Yes.
But now we're a few years out from it, and hopefully people have reconnected. But when you're disconnected, it's a whole different life.
Yeah.
When you lose your humanity or you lose the value of other people, when you think you can just be home, so many people working from home now, so many things have changed. And so
Yeah.
community was at work or community was wherever it was that might not be there today that was there years
Yeah.
ago. So you need to rebuild that community. How have you built the community around you? Because with divorce too, your community changes.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So, kind of, I suppose, running a business, and as you know, it's so time consuming. But I was also, as I kind of highlighted, I'm really invested in the children. So I was doing lots of things with them. I was basketball coaching their team. So two boys were playing basketball. Um, so that's a bit of a time investment as well. You got the training and the game day and running them around, and my daughter doing dance as well. So taking to her to the dancing. So the benefit of working for yourself, you've got that flexibility during daytime hours because they finish school at 3 p.m. Here in Australia. It's probably the same.
Mhm.
So in those afternoon times, doing the school activity, the kids' activities, which is great. But then sometimes having to do stuff late at night. But yeah, I'd let the as a result of just that busyness, I hadn't really had any close friends. But that's one of the first things that I focused on is getting some guys around me that I could be open with. Was going through a horrible time, and I don't think as men we're really all that great at opening up and having good, strong relationships to be able to do that. So I got a few buddies around me which we connected with quite frequently, and they were there for me. I mean, they didn't know what to say half the time, as you wouldn't. Like, it's a difficult time. There's
Mhm.
not much to say, but to listen and to hear, and just be there, available for me. Crazy, crazy drop of a hat type scenarios. People were there, so I was really. I built those strong mates. We call them mates. I think. Do you call them mates?
Yeah.
That's an Aussie sort of
Um,
phrase.
I
Yeah.
like I like mates. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
had my strong mates around me, and even from a business perspective, I used to like going to a lot of networking group events just because I like
Hmm.
the social activity of it. But I created my own there as well at that time. Just more of a social sort of gathering of business people. So it was just it wasn't really there was no structure to it. We just connected. Whoever came. I ran it on Meetup, the platform, and
Hmm.
people came and connected and had a good conversation and those sorts of things as well. So I did that at that time. So just rebuilding relationships and connections again. You're right, because it was after the COVID time as well. So all that stuff had fallen away a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting that you were so intentional about creating relationships. In the United States, I read this statistic not that long ago. The average man in the US has zero point 0.7 friends. Zero point
Yeah,
0.7. Like, so that's a whole lot of men with zero friends. And man, I don't know any women that don't have friends.
yes.
And but men, for some reason, it's an issue. And so I like it that you created a community. Like you were intentional. You recognize the value of friendship.
Yeah, it'd be the same here in Australia. It certainly seems, and I was one of them. I probably had less than zero point 0.7 friends for a while there, um, but I knew the importance of it. And I mean, it feels to me, I'm no expert in this field, but it feels to me the mental health of men and the suicide rates here in Australia are quite high, and they're certainly the highest in men. And I wonder if that's because they don't have good friends around them
Mm.
to connect with and to know what they're going through. So they don't open up. We don't typically open up all that well. And so when there's really difficult times, it seems to me that the suicide option is something that people consider where um, it, things are never as bad as what they feel like at that very moment in time. So yeah, I think that was really important. I mean, I kind of knew and sensed that was a thing here in Australia. That's when things get bad. That's sometimes what happens. So I kind of knew mates were the thing that would pull me through to a degree.
Yeah, it's good that you connected with people. And that's really kind of an easy thing for people to do is because we have platforms to do it, like Meetup, right? And so to
Yeah.
create your own, that's genius. That and so how did it work? I'm just curious. So you put it out there on Meetup and
Yeah, I didn't do really any marketing or anything. I just put it on Meetup, so and anyone on that platform would find it. But I would just share it on my Facebook as well. So there was, I mean, the core group of people that I knew that would come, but then there would be other people. So you're always just meeting new people, and so it was once a month, and so different people would show up and you'd meet new people and sometimes you'd connect pretty well with them and have a coffee afterward, a different day, or stay connected and so on. So it was really organic, and the conversations were really, no one was leading it. It was just a conversation around the table. Um, at one time it was really interesting just because the style and the culture of it. Um, One time, a guy opened up around the table about his mental health
mm,
battles, it was kind of surprising because it was just an open forum. But I suppose because we had made that space and that culture, that he felt confident and comfortable to do that, which is great, Sam. And it made space for other people to talk about similar things as well. So whilst it was a business group, we hardly spoke about business. We just spoke about life and whatever was happening. Um, so yeah, it wasn't by design. I think it was just it just became a reflection of my values, I guess, that kind of came through in the end.
Yeah. Well, I can see that. I mean, you draw people that are like you, right? I mean, we all kind of draw people that are like us, or those are the people that want to hang out with us, that are similar, like-minded in some way. And so I'm not surprised that you had this great
Yeah.
space that people felt so free to be able to open up like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, as you said, business people have a certain set of challenges that other people probably don't understand always. If you work a 9 to 5, they probably don't understand. So just a space for people to connect and they're going through their own stuff, their roller coaster ride, and it's exciting and terrifying sometimes running a business. So connecting with people who understand to a degree is always helpful.
Yes, yeah, yeah, for sure. Very helpful, I think. Yes, I always love networking events because it's always interesting to see where people are, where they've come from, how they got to where they are, and then I love it. I love helping people if they're struggling with something or just need support in some way. Like it's
Yeah,
because it helps you when you help other
yeah,
people, right? You learn along the way as well.
yeah. And it feels as though, I mean, sort of a tangent, but it feels as though the world has become polarized with different viewpoints. And it feels as though it's probably through social media, we're all getting siloed into a set of thoughts and beliefs, which may or may not be true, or they might be exaggerated somewhat once the platforms kind of figure out what your leanings are and persuasions, and it sort of reinforces what may not be all that helpful sometimes. So when you connect with real people in a room, you've got a broad depth of viewpoints and understanding. So you're less likely you're more likely to be tolerant of other people's points of view. Um, well, there's so many views out there, and I think it's a shame that there's so much polarization these days, and people just not listening and getting along as well as they once did. I think.
Yeah, oh, I totally agree. And it is sad. And it does come, I believe, too, from social media, from the news, from whatever. And so then it creates this culture of a they, well, they believe, they aren't, or they're whatever. And sometimes it's they're idiots and they are stupid or they are whatever. And well, they're not a they. It's Tom and
Yeah,
Mary and Ken, they're people. And it is so
yeah,
different then when you connect one-on-one and you go, oh wow, they're human too, and
yeah,
it's like all of our belief systems, everything that we believe it, we're a product of every day that we've lived. And so we're
yeah,
basing our opinions on what we know. Well, I don't know about you, but I sure don't know everything. And
yeah,
so, right? And so when you're open to learning more, to growing and hearing, why do people believe the way they do?
yeah,
And how important is it that they have some belief that you don't? Like, does that really matter? Right?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that healthy dialogue, the art of the healthy dialogue, and when there's difference of opinions, to be able to hold that tension well as adults, I think that's what we need to, in some ways, learn how to do that again.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that that's so true. And right, right. And get rid of the labels that we put on people and the expectations or the lack of expectations that come with the labels and get rid of all that stuff and just be human.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So what excites you now? Like your business, you made this big shift because of AI. And
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that fear AI. And that's another sort of polarizing thing in a way,
yeah,
because
yeah,
either people are so excited about it or people are so afraid of it. And I always think of fear is your fear, it's the unknown that you're fearing, right? You're fearing the future that's not even here yet. and may or
Yeah.
may not come to fruition. So it's like it's a waste of energy to have a fear around it. But if you are nervous about it, I think there's things that you can do uh, to embrace it more and to realize the capabilities and what it really is, and that it is not human and will not replace human, will not replace heart, will not replace love. So, what have you done in your company to embrace it, or how do you have that attitude of I'm excited about AI, and how does that come for you?
Yeah, well, it's a massive opportunity for business, and it's been for my business and the team. I'm fortunate in that the people that work for me, they're quite technical, so they're quite switched on with all the AI stuff. But I can appreciate lots of people are probably more fearful than they are. I was really fortunate in that I could draw upon ideas from them as technical people to figure out how we could use it as an advantage in business without losing the core values of being human and connection and those things that I really love to do. So, I mean, AI freed up so much time so I could do the things that I love. So it was that kind of two sides of the same coin. I think with fear, certainly we tend to avoid what we fear, but if we, I feel as though fear is sometimes so similar to excitement. So if you can somehow reshape that fear into excitement, into it's kind of like a roller coaster. You go on the roller coaster ride and you know it's going to be scary, but it's also exciting. It's kind of the same feeling. So if you can find the excitement in whatever career path you're on, to think about, okay, what's changing right now and what's likely to change in my career path, and how do I get positioned for the changes so I make the most of the opportunities and I'm ready for that. So it might be just figuring out, everyone's on a different career path. What does it look like in the future, and what do I need to do, and what do I need to learn? Make learning a fun experience. So how do I figure out these things? Who do I need to listen to? Or who are the leaders in my field? Are they running a podcast that I can listen to be encouraged and inspired? And think about, because there's a lot of negativity about how it's going to displace and replace lots of workers, and that's where fear might come in. But you might also think about, okay, what are the new jobs, and how do I can I work in those spaces, and what can I do? I think that's exciting as well. So to reshape fear as an excitement, I think is a cool little way of thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that because it is. It's like the same vibration, fear and excitement. So instead of being afraid, you can just go, I'm so excited, I'm so excited, I'm so excited, and just shift the thought completely. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
That's so true. So, and we've gone through things. I certainly have in my lifetime, but through generations where there have been times like the one we're in right now, where there's this new thing that's not so new, but we think of it as new, right?
yeah,
But it's developing and growing, and but it happened when one of the businesses I had was a golf course, and in the 70s there was a golf course owners conference, and they said, "Oh, you are so in the right business. That you are in the right business because." Those big, huge computer rooms that you see at your offices, whatever, they're making computers. People are going to have them on their desk at work. People are going to have computers in their homes. Like and
yeah,
so it's going to change everything because the computers are going to do so much work that people are only going to have to work 4 days a week, maybe even 3 days a week. So they're going to have all this time for golf. It's going to be great. They'll have all this time for golf. And the opposite happened. People work
yeah,
more hours. People work more hours now than they did in the 70s on average. And so
yeah,
it did the opposite. And so we've had these waves of, oh my gosh, the internet, should we be afraid of it? Are they listening to us? Whatever it is. And to me, this is just another one of those that it's
yeah,
exciting because when you look back and you think of the things that people were afraid of, but then you see all the good that came out of
yeah,
things rather than any bad. And
yeah,
I think the same is going to be here. Like I think it's a very exciting time to be alive and be part of the world.
Yeah, so true. The forecasts are, and often the experts not quite right either. It'll be fun to listen back on some of the thought leaders of now in 10 years time and what was true and what wasn't true. It'll be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And there are some things that I'm more excited about than others. Like I don't know if you ever saw the cartoon The Jetsons.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yeah.
the flying
And
cars and so on.
yeah, right, right,
I still
right.
want my flying car. I thought they were meant to come out in the year 2000s, wasn't it?
I know. Where are they? And I would like a Rosie. I think her name was Rosie that did all the
Oh,
cleaning. I'd like a Rosie. That would be pretty nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, true.
Yeah. There's some sweet things in the Jetsons that if those things happen, those they would be good.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, yeah. So what does business look like for you today?
Yeah, so we're really niched in to the trades and construction industries. We do websites primarily and optimize them. And I started out doing it for anyone and everyone, but I discovered most of our better clients were in the construction field to some degree, building materials and so on. So really chose to niche in and get really specific on that, just because when you niched and you really understand the clients to a higher level, and I think that's important. Repositioning myself a little bit. So I think the technology piece of building a website is going to become easier. It already is. So that being a technician isn't really going to be the future in my industry, but that expert knowledge and guidance and advice, I think that's where the true value is. It already is, but it's going to be even more pronounced in the future. So that's why I chose to really be niched, so I really, really understand our clientele to a higher level, so I can provide a higher level of that thought leadership and value to them. So that's what business looks like now and into the future. Really loving it, enjoying it. It's always fun to work with happy clients. They were always our happiest and happiest clients who are getting the best value. So just looking for more of those, really.
That's yeah, that's so good. And you're so right. When you niche down, you can be so much more targeted with how you do business, what things can look like. There can be overlap. There can be so much that you learn about a particular industry or particular people, age group, whatever it happens to be, that then all your advertising, all your marketing can be more targeted, but also the things that you do are more streamlined and more targeted. And when you're just broad, and it can be so easy for businesses to go, I help everybody. I can do
Yeah,
anything for anybody. But
yeah,
then who's going to come to you? But if you're like a leader in your industry, like if I'm in the trades, I want to come to a guy like you rather than
yeah,
somebody who just works with everybody, right?
yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right. And it helps you be selective in your marketing and where you spend your time and energy and so many good things as you said. So it's been really powerful for our business and um, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's good. And with AI, it's not like the trades are going away.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's another aspect of it. I mean, maybe one day robots will be swinging a hammer and fixing your drains and all of that, but that's probably a little way off.
Yeah, yeah, I
Desk
would think yes.
desk-based jobs probably be the first to be changed to some degree, but the people we support will still be working in the fields that they do.
Yeah, yeah. So great, great area to pick, I would think, for you in your business.
Yeah,
Now, So, how did you land on the trades? You said that you kind of stepped back and you recognize that your biggest clients are the ones you enjoyed the most, whatever, were in the trades, and so you kind of went that way. But was there something about it um, that made it different?
yeah. It's a curious thing. So oftentimes people um, assume that I was some sort of tradesperson. We call them tradies here in Australia. So people assume I was some sort of tradie or construction or had some sort of background in that. But the funny part is I'm useless at any of that stuff. I can barely pick up a hammer. I don't know which end of the screwdriver to hold, that sort of thing. So it's kind of funny that I'm useless in those things, but I support these people. I think it was um, a relational thing. So for whatever reason, well, these businesses are often founder led. And so I get to speak to the founder of the business. So they're really invested. And I'm really pragmatic and practical and down to earth. And I try to avoid lingo and techie jargon. It's just I don't like to talk like that to clients. So I think it really resonated with them because they're typically the trades, construction, founder-led businesses. They're usually pragmatic, practical, hands-on, down-to-earth people, and I sort of connect really well with those types. So I think it was around that. So for whatever reason, they enjoyed working with me, and as a I guess a result, I enjoyed working with them because they were super happy. So the niche found me for sure, not the other way around. I just noticed it and I focused on it a little more.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's nice when things work out that way. And it's nice when you recognize it. Because I think sometimes you can be so busy that you're not seeing the tree through the forest, so to speak.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, sometimes you don't know precisely the path. You've got a picture of the end goal, but you're not precisely sure how you're going to get there. Once you have momentum, then you start to see opportunities and things on the path. I mean, you still have the end goal in mind, but the opportunities present themselves, and to notice them, and are they driving you forward to what your end goal was? And you can make decisions that way as things present themselves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So one of the things that I have been speaking about a lot lately is heart-led leaders and leading with love and love being a part of everything you do. I did this thing where I dedicated a year to figuring out the true meaning of love, and the things that I found out about love blew my mind. But love is something that you are, that you don't hang up in the closet when you get to work or throw in the corner when you get home. And so, how do you see yourself in that?
Yeah, well, I think I've always been kind of a heart-led person. I suppose at heart, I'm a creative person, and I studied graphic design, multimedia, and that's how I got into website design and so on. So I think the creatives are naturally a little bit more heart-led as well. They're more feeling oriented. So it's certainly true. And I mean, I think that's with AI, we spoke about that a bit, but I think there's more value on the heart-led um, aspects because that's truly human, and that's what we all desire. Um, Certainly, for the people we work with, it's really important too, the heart-led businesses in trades and construction, and that might feel counterintuitive because they're really blokey businesses, and they're straight to the point and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, there's labor shortages and challenges in these industries. So people need to look after their people as leaders in their businesses. They need to look after their team members to a higher level so they can keep their staff on board, but also to attract the very best staff to have that culture. So a heart-led business will always do better with their people because it's a people first sort of aspect, I believe. So people first will always be important, particularly in tough times, which construction is having right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So then it's kind of both. So you are a heart-led business working with heart-led businesses.
Yeah, true. Well,
Yeah.
that's, as you said, you kind of attract people to you that resonate in some way. So that's why we're attracting a certain type of person in those fields. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so true. Yeah, and I think too, people are done with phony and done with pretense or like you were talking about, technical jargon or whatever and just want to get back to humanity and wanted to be treated with that kind of respect. Like don't try to snow me, don't try to pull one over on me or try to talk to me in a way that is a little shady or that
Yeah.
makes people want to read between the lines, just be honest with people and tell people what you're doing or whatever the bottom line of something is. And yeah, and those are the people you want to do business with.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I hear love is, I think about the Bible verse that you often hear it at weddings and so on. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, doesn't boast, keeps no records of wrong. They're pretty good values to live by
Mhm.
in personal life, but also in business. It's just they keep relationships strong and healthy and um, help us to move forward.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So, and you don't want to be a different person at work than you are at home.
Yeah,
And so just be you. I think too, authenticity is such an important thing. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So true, so true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. Okay, so all your years and all your work and everything, is there someone somewhere along the way that gave you some great piece of advice that you hang on to, or is there a piece of advice that you always give to people that you like to share?
Oh wow. Yeah, there's been so many things that, along the journey, so many great people that you come across that guide and mentor you and help support you. I suppose mum said to me at one stage to know your worth, which seems like a simple phrase, but I think you can get bashed around in life so much that you devalue yourself and don't appreciate your own worth. I think that's common for many of us, particularly people who align a little more to the heart-led type of business, where feeling and emotional, and sometimes we don't know our own worth and value. So I think that's an important little phrase that I try to remember from time to time when things might be going a little haywire.
Yeah, that's really good. You had a very wise mom. I like that. Know your own worth. So how has that played out in your life, that little phrase?
Yeah. Well, I suppose to think about was many different aspects. I mean, starting the business, I was so naive, so I had no understanding about how to do a client meeting or all these things, and I was kind of like, I remember the first couple of meetings I went to just sweating. So I was because I didn't really appreciate my own value of what I was bringing to the
Mm,
table. I was sort of second guessing and doubting. So through those times to know my worth, I mean, I knew what I did, my service was good and solid and valuable, but there's the underlying thoughts of am I am I really a business person? Those sorts of things. So knowing my worth through that season was important, but knowing my worth through the divorce separation time as well. A curious thing occurs when you're solid in your own worth and value, is you're less likely to fight, I think. I think when you fight, it's because of sometimes it's because of an insecurity in yourself. So, and that it might sound counterintuitive. You fight more because you know your worth. No, it's not the opposite. If you know your worth, you're more solid and secure. So you don't need to fight. And you don't need to be aggressive and you don't need to, um, there's some things you just don't need to say because you know they're not true and you don't need to fight them because it's someone else's perspective,
mm.
and you're settled on your own convictions and perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, what a good point. Guy, you're so philosophical right now. But there's so much wisdom in what you just said. And yeah, I love that. Know your own worth. It's a deeper thing, deep, and yet easy, so simple. You know, sometimes the deepest things can also be the simplest things, and so that's definitely one of those things that is both that carries the weight of both. So that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. Well, this has been great. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, if people are curious, I mean, our business website, uplift360.com.au. And I appreciate not every listener will have a need to work with us. So that's not the intention of being on the show. I just love connecting with people. But if it is, they more than welcome to book a strategy call with me there. But also from there, you'll find my personal LinkedIn. I'll connect with anyone. I know not everyone does that, but I connect with anyone who reaches out to put in a connection request on LinkedIn. So happy to connect there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have really enjoyed this. The time went by so fast, and just thank you so much for being so open to share and sharing from your heart. I just really appreciate that.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for the opportunity. It's good to get up early and to talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's been great. So, okay, well, thank you. Thank you again. And thanks for all your wisdom and all of it. And good luck to you. Like, just go rock it. I'm excited for your future and just continue to grow and help people and build those relationships. That's just so cool. And so, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And I just want to say that I pray that until we see each other again, that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.